The story begins with our main character, Ganta, watching an advertisement for Deadman Wonderland. His friend Mimi arrives and asks him what he's doing. Ganta explains that he's looking at a new jail that just opened, adding that their school will soon take them there on a field trip. Mimi wonders what kind of school would take its students to a jail, but Ganta explains that this one is unique because it's built like an amusement park. He thinks people will definitely visit because they've never seen anything like it. Another of Ganta's friends arrives, and the three of them chat about their day and plans for the future. When the bell rings, they all take their seats, but Ganta's attention is drawn to the window. He sees a man hovering there. Before Ganta can process what's happening or warn his friends, the figure attacks the classroom. Ganta passes out. When he regains consciousness, he finds his hands and clothes covered in blood. He asks his friend Mimi what happened, but then realizes she is dead. The same man he saw earlier is holding Mimi's severed head. The man attacks Ganta, but instead of killing him, he strikes him in the chest, causing him to pass out again. Ganta wakes up in a hospital, where police arrest him for the murder of all his classmates. Confused, Ganta doesn't understand why he's being blamed. The police believe since Ganta was the sole survivor, he must be the killer. The anime highlights a cruel twist of fate. If you're the only one to survive a major tragedy, you're automatically considered the culprit. A lawyer arrives to represent Ganta. On the way to the courthouse, Ganta explains that a man flying outside the third-floor window attacked their classroom. He adds that the man was wearing red, but no one believes him. Ganta insists he was injured too, pointing to his chest, but finds no wound or scar. The lawyer assumes Ganta is in shock and promises to help him. However, in the courtroom, Ganta adheres to death and ordered to be sent to Deadman Wonderland to await his execution. Ganta screams that he's innocent, but the victim's parents show up and start beating him. Mimi's father joins in, relentlessly attacking Ganta until he drops his phone, which starts playing a video. In the footage, Ganta is seen telling his lawyer that he was the one who did it, explaining that since he's under 18, he knew everyone would assume he was innocent. He continues, saying that he killed his friends and hid the murder weapon. Ganta realizes he's been framed, but now no one will believe him. Meanwhile, in Wonderland, a girl in a white costume is singing. She suddenly senses Ganta's arrival and says, "We'll meet very soon." Ganta is transported to Deadman Wonderland. Years ago, a massive earthquake struck Tokyo, crippling its economy. To revive it, Japan built Deadman Wonderland, a prison designed as a tourist attraction where inmates perform for the public. As a private prison, its goal is to boost revenue through tourism. Upon entry, Ganta is given a uniform. The warden, Makina, explains the rules. She tells the new prisoners that they must perform for the public to generate money and must do exactly as they're told. She reveals the collars on their necks can deliver a powerful electric shock and contain a tracker, making escape futile. Just then, an inmate bumps into Ganta and while apologizing, steals from him. Makina orders the inmates to return the items, but he feigns ignorance. Instantly, Makina slashes the inmate with her sword. As a medical team is called, she places her foot on his head, warning everyone that they cannot escape. Later, the lawyer meets with Makina and insists they execute Ganta as soon as possible. Makina doesn't understand the urgency, since Ganta's death is already certain, but the lawyer simply says he likes to work quickly. While working inside Wonderland, Ganta thinks about his friends and feels he should have died with them. The girl from before appears, and says that if he wants to die, she can help him. When she attacks him, however, Ganta instinctively defends himself. The girl stops and says, "See, you don't want to die. Your body doesn't want to die." Ganta looks at her more closely and is reminded of Mimi. He asks for her name, but she doesn't answer, instead saying they can be friends. She tells him that she knows his name and believes he didn't kill his friends. As they're talking, other inmates arrive. Knowing what Ganta was accused of, they decide to teach him a lesson. The girl protects Ganta, but a prisoner hits her on the head from behind, knocking her unconscious. Ganta resolves to protect her, but he's in deep trouble. We cut to the lawyer, who reveals that he knows Ganta is innocent and also knows about the man Ganta saw. As Ganta's being beaten, he feels a sharp pain in his chest. An explosion on a nearby building causes a large structure to start falling towards the unconscious girl. Ganta rushes to save her, resolving to get revenge on the man who killed his classmates. The pain in his chest manifests as a power, and he shatters the falling structure. Elsewhere, an inmate on death row is about to kill another prisoner. Makina arrives and tries to reason with him, but the inmate demands a candy. Makina refuses, saying his life is almost over anyway. The inmate's collar then activates, and he dies bleeding from his eyes and mouth. We learn that all prisoners must consume a special candy made in the prison. Ganta wonders how he survived, while the girl sleeps deeply. When she wakes up, she introduces herself as Shiro. She's happy Ganta saved her, and they agree to be friends. That evening, Makino reviews the incident on a monitor and realizes the structure didn't fall on its own, it was deliberately brought down by the lawyer. She also wonders about Ganta's power, which saved him and the girl while 3 other prisoners died. In the medical room, a doctor asks Ganta if he has eaten his candy, but Ganta doesn't know what it is. The boy who bumped into him earlier, Yo, appears and explains that he had stolen Ganta's candy, which is why Makina attacked him. Yo tells Ganta that to survive in this hell, he must obey every order. Shiro arrives and asks Ganta to play with her. Yo mistakes this for the invitation to the dog race, an event where inmates compete for prize money transferred to a card. This money can be used to buy food, items, and even reduce their sentence. Hungry, Ganta decides to participate. On the way, Makina advises Ganta to read the rules carefully. Yo calls Tamaki, who is revealed to be the lawyer, and informs him that Ganta is participating. In the locker room, Ganta reads the rules. Yo introduces himself properly and they promise to be friends. Just then, Kuzuji, a feared prisoner and taekwondo expert, arrives. He was in prison for fighting a girl who refused to give him a celebrity's phone number. He attacks Ganta for not bowing down to him and warns everyone not to withdraw from the race as he intends to win the prize money. He beats Ganta until Shiro arrives with a pastry. As she approaches, she accidentally steps on Kuzuji, who becomes enraged. Before he can punch her, Makina intervenes, cutting Kuzuji as a warning. Yo is too injured to compete. Ganta refuses the pastry, focused on the rulebook. He discovers that the caller injects a poison into their bodies and the candy is the antidote. If a prisoner doesn't eat a candy every 3 days, they will die. The candy is so expensive that inmates must constantly compete in events to afford it. Ganta realizes he must win today's race to survive. Tamaki learns of Ganta's participation and makes the game more difficult, anticipating many deaths. He instructs his staff to clean up any casualties immediately to maintain the illusion of a harmless show for the audience, which includes children. The race begins with an obstacle course of moving blades where many prisoners die. The audience believes it's all special effects. The second obstacle is bungee jumping with a high chance of choosing a faulty rope. Ganta is saved by a short rope, and Shiro, despite getting a long one, also survives. The third round involves running in a straight line while dodging arrows and avoiding electrified pits. Kuzuji uses his men as shields to advance, while Ganta relies on Shiro's help. The fourth round requires jumping across balloons over a pool of acid. With Shiro's guidance, Ganta succeeds. Shiro tells him to ignore the rules and adapt to the situation, since no one will care if he dies. They reach the final round, a competition between Ganta and Kuzuji. A ball is thrown into the air and the one who catches it must run across a continuously breaking floor. Kuzuji taunts Ganta, calling him a mass murderer. Enraged, Ganta hits him with the ball, declaring his innocence. Shiro catches the ball and Ganta lures Kuzuji towards the collapsing section of the floor. Just as Kuzuji is about to fall, he sees Shiro also falling. He tries to save himself, but dies. Shiro throws the ball to Ganta so he can win, but Ganta chooses to save her life instead. The race ends with no winner and Ganta loses his chance to buy the candy, but is happy to have saved his friend. Tamaki meets with the prison's funders, who are angry about the numerous deaths in the dog race. Tamaki dismisses their concerns, revealing that he has imprisoned the masked man there.
Ganta eats a pastry with Shiro, believing he will die today, the third day without a candy. In his cell, he writes a letter to Mimi's father, apologizing and asserting his innocence. Yo appears and reveals they are now cellmates. He gives Ganta the candy he stole, but makes him promise a favor in the future. Yo secretly wonders why Tamaki is so interested in Ganta. Tamaki has given Yo special privileges to spy on him. Tamaki receives a panicked call. The red man has escaped from his confinement. Yo and Ganta share a meal, paid for by Yo. Ganta thanks him and Yo begins to doubt that a respectful boy like Ganta could be a murderer. While eating ice cream, Ganta remembers his friends. Suddenly, his chest hurts and the red man appears. He creates a powerful vortex of wind that dismembers several prisoners and injures Yo. Ganta, determined not to lose another friend, uses his power to attack the red man. The attack has no effect and the red man flees. Ganta follows but collapses from exhaustion. Tamaki, watching the fight, is pleased. He believes that if Ganta can master his power, he could become his best product. Yo, terrified by Ganta's power, considers breaking his deal with Tamaki. When Ganta awakens in the medical room with Shiro, he learns that the red man lives within Wonderland and that he possesses the same power. He overhears other prisoners saying the red man is kept in a place called G-Block and decides to go there. Makina learns of Ganta's power and the subsequent injuries. Believing he is a threat, she decides to capture him and tighten security, preparing a weapon that was last used 4 years ago to stop a powerful criminal, a thought that cost 24 guards their lives. She orders all prisoners to their cells and tells Ganta to report to her. Tamaki pressures Yo to continue spying on Ganta. He refuses, calling Ganta a monster. but Tamaki bribes him with money and he agrees. Ganta, fleeing with Shiro, runs into Yo and tells him his plan. Yo claims G-Block doesn't exist, but Shiro insists she knows the way. A robot appears and identifies Ganta as its target. Shiro opens a vent and the three escape, but the robot follows. Yo temporarily disables the robot, allowing them to reach G-Block just as it reactivates. Makina is shocked to learn of G-Block's existence. The robot attacks Ganta, who fears for Yo's life. Shiro punches the robot away, but it recovers. Ganta tries to summon his power but fails. Just then, a man appears and slices the robot in half. This man has the same power as Ganta and is the criminal the robot was designed to stop 4 years ago. Believing this is the Red Man, Ganta attacks him. The man, Senji, uses his blood to form blades and easily injures Ganta. Tamaki watches their fight and sends security. Senji tells Ganta their real fight is scheduled for tomorrow, but is willing to fight now. Ganta attacks with an iron rod, but Senji shatters it, calling him weak. As Senji leaves, Ganta realizes he must use his own blood. He cuts his hand, forms a bullet of blood, and fires it at Senji. The bullet breaks through Senji's weapon and hits him in the chest. Impressed, Senji says he's looking forward to their fight. Ganta realizes this isn't the man he's looking for. Their laughs are different. Ganta asks about the power, and Senji reveals that many people have it and that this entire area was built to imprison them. As Senji prepares to attack again, Shiro jumps between them. Senji becomes flustered and shy, noticing her tight outfit and tells her to put on some clothes. Guards arrive and tranquilize both Ganta and Senji. Shiro and Yo are also captured. Tamaki orders Yo to be released, but says nothing about Shiro, who has no prisoner number. Makina's men arrive at the fight scene to find no robot and no evidence, realizing Tamaki has erased it all. Yo asks the guard why G-Block is hidden. The guard explains it houses prisoners with blood control powers. After being released, Shiro decides to find Ganta on her own, while the guards confiscate all Yo's money as compensation for the damages. Ganta awakens on an experiment table. Tamaki appears and tells him the truth about him. He framed Ganta to bring him to the prison and study his power. He shocks Ganta to submission and tells him he must fight Senji tomorrow in the Carnival Corpse, a tournament for those with special powers. If Ganta wins, he will get prize money and antidotes. If he wins enough matches, Tamaki will let him meet the Red Man, who was the first to possess this power. Ganta vows to kill both of them. He then is forced to watch a video explaining the power originated from a parasite, showing graphic footage of bloody fights. Makina tries to see the prison director but is denied entry and threatened. The day of the fight arrives. Everyone believes it's an unfair match. Senji forms his blood blades. Ganta creates blood bullets and attacks, but Senji easily deflects them. Ganta is weak from blood loss. Senji enlarges his blade, cuts down the tree that Ganta was hiding in, and continues his assault. A nurse tells Tamaki they will need to dissect Ganta's body to study his power, and Tamaki agrees. Injured, Ganta has a flashback to his childhood, where he often lost games to Shiro. Senji decides not to kill him, but Ganta insists on fighting to his last breath. Ganta attacks a hanging object, distracting Senji. As Senji cuts down the object, Ganta gets close and strikes Senji's old wound in the chest, knocking him back. Meanwhile, Yo bribes a man for an alternate route to G-Block. He and Shiro sneak past guards. On the other side, Ganta has won the fight. Senji accepts defeat and suggests they could be friends. Because he lost, Senji must undergo a punishment. On a screen, a slot machine lands on an eye, and one of Senji's eyes is surgically removed in front of a horrified Ganta. Shiro reaches a command tower and defeats the guards. Yo realizes she used him as a decoy to get to G-Block alone. He sees the blast at the tower and the dismembered bodies of guards falling. Shiro's there, smiling, revealing a terrifying power of her own. Yo is frightened. Shiro feigns and is taken away by guards who ignore Yo. He decides to stay away from both Ganta and Shiro. Later, Ganta encounters a man trying to take a flower from a girl. Ganta gives the man his food, but the man eats the plate as well and is still hungry. Ganta and the girl Mina hide in her cell. Mina says she enjoyed watching his fight. She shows him her injuries, explaining that her abusive father triggered her power one day, causing her to kill him. She says her brother still believes she's innocent and is trying to free her. Mina's clothes almost fall off and they both shyly look away. Ganta suggests they escape together, promising not to force her to use her power. As they run, falling pipes nearly crush them. Ganta saves Mina but is injured. Guards capture them and announce their next fight will be against each other. Tamaki visits the director and suggests stopping the fights, but the director sees through his pretense.
On the day of their fight, Ganta says they don't need to fight, but Mina attacks his feet with her blood, immobilizing him. She reveals she is a psychopath and everything she told him was a lie. Enraged, Ganta attacks her. Yo, disguised as a guard, arrives and reveals that Mina is his sister. He had been saving money to buy her freedom. Tamaki orders Yo to be thrown into the cage with them. Mina seems unfazed by her brother's presence. Yo, believing his sister is innocent, stops Ganta from attacking her. Mina, however, says she will attack her own brother first, then Ganta. Yo explains that their father was about to rape Mina and he was going to kill him, but Mina's power activated and killed him instead. He tells Mina she doesn't need to lie anymore and that he will protect her. Mina ignores him, tortures him with her power, and uses him as a human shield against Ganta. She declares she never loved her family and hates her mother, who abandoned her during the earthquake to save a flower pot. As she's speaking, Ganta attacks her hand, freeing Yo. Mina restrains Ganta, who then punches her directly, knocking her out and winning the fight without using his blood power. The audience is disappointed. Senji, watching, is impressed. The directors are also amused. The director picks up Shiro and tells her it's time to make his dream a reality. The area begins to shake. Mina awakens to see cabinets falling on her. She has a flashback to the earthquake, where her brother came to save her after her mother left. This time too, Yo saves her, getting injured in the process. He tells her he will take the blame for their father's death, but Mina confesses she was the one who killed him. Ganta keeps remembering Shiro from his childhood. We see that Shiro has defeated the director and is in fact the red man who attacked Ganta's school. Ganta finds Senji and apologizes for his eye. Senji dismisses it and points out flaws in Ganta's attacks. Ganta then finds Yo and asks where Shiro is. He tells Yo he now remembers playing with Shiro at the research facility where his mother worked. One day, after an injection, Shiro was in a bad mood and threw him out of her room. A dog attacked him, and Shiro came and killed it to save him. Yo hesitates to tell Ganta the truth about Shiro, fearing it would break his heart. Makina is angry that Tamaki has erased all data on G-Block and decides to break the rules to find the truth. A nurse gives Tamaki a piece of red fabric found in Ganta's chest, a piece of Shiro's costume. Tamaki reveals the director has died, and he is now in control. Ganta is approached by a girl named Kara and a man named Nagi, who lead a group planning to escape. They invite him to join. Ganta wants to bring Mina, but they tell him to watch her punishment on TV. The punishment is minor, only a lock of her hair is cut. As Ganta celebrates, a monk arrives with Yo, attacks the group, and is about to finish Ganta when Shiro appears and breaks the monk's weapon. The monk retreats. Ganta joins the escape group. Nagi tells Shiro he lived in G-Block from the beginning. Meanwhile, Makina prepares for an inspection, hoping to expose the prison's secrets. Nagi plans for his group to create chaos during the inspection to reveal the truth to the outside world. Tamaki learns the director is dead and is overjoyed. Ganta tells Senji about the plan. Senji reveals that 2 years ago, Tamaki forced Nagi to fight his own wife. Nagi lost, and his vocal cords were removed as punishment. When his wife was also sentenced, they tried to escape, but the monk killed her. The inspection team arrives. Nagi's group puts their plan into action, but they are ambushed by robots. Kara gives Ganta a data chip and stays behind to fight the robots, sacrificing herself as a bridge collapses. Nagi is betrayed by an informant in his group, Rukiro, and is captured by the monk and a girl with similar powers. The girl tortures Nagi, who, despite his pain, manages to pull a lever to activate the elevator for the rest of the group. When Ganta's group reaches the top, they are ambushed by the monk and his army. Most of them are killed. Nagi, defeated, manages to make a distress call. Shiro answers the call. The monk confronts Ganta but is called away before he can attack. Ganta, left with a few survivors and the hard drive, is determined to reach the inspectors. Shiro appears, takes the drive, and throws it into an exploding room, saying she's protecting him. Furious, Ganta punches her and tells her to stay away from him. The survivors return to their meeting room and find Kara still alive. They devise a new plan without Ganta, deeming him too weak. A strange man named Toto appears, asks for blood, and is refused by Senji and Ganta. Meanwhile, Nagi is drugged and begins killing his own men. Shiro, also drugged, confronts Kara, but the monk appears and captures them both. He broadcasts a message threatening them. Ganta rushes to save them. Senji hopes he uses his training. Mina appears and helps Ganta get past the guards. Ganta arrives and can only save one person due to blood loss. He chooses Shiro. A small girl attacks Shiro, throwing her aside. The monk allows Kara to go to Nagi, who is now insane with grief, believing the monk killed his unborn child along with his wife.
Nagi's power explodes, killing the surrounding soldiers. He attacks Shiro, but Ganta shields her, taking a severe beating. Ganta reminds Nagi of his own words about hope and leaving the past behind. Nagi begins to remember his family. Kara slaps him back to his senses, telling him they are all his family now. The monk stabs Kara through the chest. Enraged, Ganta attacks the monk, who disappears. Kara uses her power to stop her bleeding. Nagi, now lucid, holds the monk still as Ganta and Shiro combine their powers into a final attack. The monk thanks them before he dies, feeling he has finally been punished for his own evil deeds. Nagi is caught in the blast, and before dying, gives Ganta his last candy. Ganta goes to Shiro and apologizes for not trusting her. The candy tastes bitter, a symbol of all he has lost. Makina confronts Tamaki, now the new director, about the missing prisoners, but he dismisses her. Ganta and Shiro sit together. Ganta tells her the red man knew the lullaby, suggesting a deep connection. With this, the anime ends. The story continues in the manga as a new season of the show was cancelled.